We're back. Round 4, Modern, FNM, GameSwap Mason, brought to you by Top Deck Productions. Today, or for round 4, we have, Chris Hutchingson on Red-White Prison versus Daniel Budin on Green-Red Titanshift.
Oh, wow. This is a neat matchup. But yeah, I thought Chris was going to be on Affinity.
Yeah, Chris Hutchinson usually a usual Affinity player.
Yeah, but looks like
mixing
he's
it up tonight.
Yeah, looks like he's taken some of his I don't know, his masterpiece chalices from Affinity and put them into Prison.
Yes, Chris has a nearly full masterpiece Affinity deck.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Now, I think he does have masterpiece. I think he does play a chalice in his Affinity list, which is a little bit weird, but I guess he just took those chalices straight to
slammed them into Red-White Prison.
To Red-White here. So hopefully we'll see some Ajani Vengeance, maybe some Gideon Juras, maybe some Nahiris.
Some Blood Moons. You know, Blood Moon seems pretty good against
We're definitely
going to
see some Blood Moons. Yeah, this is an interesting match because both of these players could be playing Simian Spirit Guide. You never know.
That's true.
If Daniel is actually playing Titanshift as opposed to, Through the Breach Titan.
Titan Breach.
He probably
Through the Titan.
He probably doesn't have
Simian
Spirit Guide, but both these players can do very strange, busted things to each other. This is going to be exciting. I can't say off the bat who I think is favored here. I think Red-White Prison.
I think Blood Moon is a real big.
I think Blood Moon's a big deal, but of course in game 1. But the match as a whole, Daniel's got all kinds of answers to that, the Form of Nature's Claim and whatever else. So I think this will be.
Yeah, this is. I mean, definitely one we haven't seen in a while. Neither of these decks have really been featured on camera too much.
Red-White Prison is one of my favorite new decks.
I like the name Sun and Moon.
Sun and Moon.
That name better.
Yeah, I like that name too. There's just so many neat cards you can play in these Red-White Prison decks. What's neat is that you don't really want to play Path because you don't want to ramp your opponent lands or give them basics. So these decks play a whole lot of neat main board cards, Blessed Alliance, but many people are playing Cast Out in these new Red-White Prison decks.
Yeah.
People have Journey to Nowhere, Oblivion Ring. Very cool cards in these Prison decks. You also get to see a lot of walkers that you don't see elsewhere.
Right.
Obviously, a lot of these decks have Nahiri.
Sure.
But you'll see the Ajani Vengeance. You'll see the 4-drop Chandra, both the Torch of Defiance and the older...
Chandra Nalar?
No, not Nalar. Well, you could, I guess, but I'm talking about Pyromaster.
Oh, okay.
The original 4-drop Chandra. You could even see Chandra the Flamebrand. Gideon Ally of Zendikar is not bad, but double white's kind of tough. In a Blood Moon deck. But you'll see Gideon Jura. It's just very cool things that this Red-White Prison deck has access to.
So Daniel here starts off with Basic Force, Suspend, Search for Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's about as good as it gets when it comes to these Escape Shift decks, is turn 1 Search for Tomorrow.
So Chris does have Blood Moon in hand. We'll probably see that turn 3, but...
And notably, Daniel did lead off with a Forest, so that's important. But again, it's going to stop his Valakits in their tracks.
It's a little, it's best against Valakut, not really for taxing his mana, because his non-basics, are Stomping Grounds, which he probably wants his red mana anyway. So, being cautious of Blood Moon, though, fetches up another Basic Force, although I suppose he has 2 Stomping Grounds in hand, so. And we're going to see a Farseek.
Yeah, so Daniel doesn't have a ton of ways to win when a Blood Moon's in play. His options are going to be...
Titan Beatdown.
Yeah, Titan Beatdown. Possibly a Courser of Krufix Beatdown.
Sure.
Or possibly a Steve
Sakura Tribe
Elder Beatdown.
You think he can go all the way?
But those plans are really, really bad against a deck that is full of Lightning Helix...
Planeswalkers.
Lightning Helices. Yeah, Planeswalkers like Ajani Vengeance. So if Chris is able to resolve this Blood Moon, it's going to be tough for Daniel to work with.
Yeah.
At the same time, Daniel's ramping really hard here.
Yeah.
It's not impossible if for some reason Chris stumbles on hitting his 3rd land here or something, for Daniel to actually resolve Escape Shift pretty early.
Yeah.
But usually the earliest you can do that
he'll be at 5 mana
turn
next
5. And I did see Simian Spirit Guide in Chris's deck. You actually don't have to play it in Red-White Prison.
Sure.
It gives you some of the explosive starts that can lock your opponent out, but it also puts you down a card. and is sometimes just a bad 3-mana 2/2. Does he have the ability to turn 4 scape shift? Is that right? If he goes,
well, he can do it, but it won't be lethal.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be. I mean, you have to be getting at least 7 lands for it to.
18 damage. I don't think it'll be 18 damage. Regardless, Daniel's gonna crack his his search from tomorrow comes off suspend, gets him another land, so he will be up to 5 mana this turn. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to get Scapeshift off this early with this few lands, because you need 5 other mountains for Valakut to be active.
Yeah, I think the only way you can do it as early as is being described is with a Prismatic Omen.
Sure.
If you have a Prismatic Omen, you can sack 5 lands. But without a Prismatic Omen, yeah, that Blood Moon is bad news. Without a Prismatic Omen, you have to sack at least 7 lands, right?
Well, yeah. Here we see Permeable Titan. Doesn't need Valakut to cast Permeable Titan, of course.
Nope.
In fact, he just uses Misty as a mountain there to to get 6 mana for his Titan.
Yep. Gets saving him some life total. Good Blood Moon, bro.
And we see some more Misties. So I doubt Daniel has any answer for it in the main decks. But of course a 6/6, you know, that's a pretty good clock. And we'll see if Chris has an answer to this Titan.
Yeah, my guess is that a Gideon Jura in Chris's hand?
I think it was. Ooh.
Oh.
Nice shiny Banishing Light.
Yeah, Banishing Light's a good one. It's for those of you who don't know, it's almost an O-ring.
Almost Oblivion Ring, right?
But I think there's
worded a little differently.
Yeah, there's a subtle distinction to prevent infinite shenanigans. Sure.
So I see that Daniel has an Engineered Explosives in hand. That, of course, is not going to be able to get enough colors to be able to blow up Blood Moon, which is converted mana cost 3.
Yeah, unless Daniel does have the Prismatic Omen. Right. Yeah, if Daniel does have a Prismatic Omen, he can cast that for Forest and a Mountain. That'll make all of his lands into all basic types, and then he can cast an Engineered Explosives for as much as X5. So a little relevant here, but not everybody plays Prismatic Omen. Prismatic Omen is one of my favorite cards in these shift lists because it does a whole lot more than you think. For one, it does open up your Engineered Explosives, but it also allows you to, since it makes your Valakuts into mountains, it allows you to go off much more quickly. But it also does things like this. In the top deck war at the end of the game, all of your top deck fetch lands are now 2 activations of Valakut instead of 1 because the fetch land entering itself is a mountain.
And then
the new one is a mountain.
Right.
So Prismatic Omen's a sweet card. I don't know if Daniel's running it, but if it is, it could be an out for him here in the main board.
Yeah, so Daniel has deployed a second Titan, gotten some more lands out of his deck. His deck is going to be very, very light of lands, but a lot of his spells, of course, still search for lands, so those might not be super relevant. Chris has Lightning Helix in hand. He does have a Gideon, and I think he drew into a Leyline of Sanctity, which after getting Blood Moon down, not too relevant, but without a Blood Moon, Leyline of Sanctity also pretty difficult to deal with for Daniel. So Primetime going to take 3 damage from Lightning Helix. And we'll see if he has a way to finish it off.
So he needs to pay white mana for that. Okay, there he goes. Yeah, he needed to pay white mana for that Lightning Helix.
Follow it up with an Anger. So combined 6 damage, going to exile second Primetime.
Yeah, so now Daniel only has two Primetimes
left. And maybe he has Sakura Tribe Elders.
Yeah, this could be tough. Yeah, I wonder if it's worth it for these green-red Titanshift decks to play that new artifact enchantment removal card that cycles.
Descent. There's a white one. The one that cycles is only artifact removal.
Oh, Forsake the Worldly?
That's a white, yeah.
Isn't there a green one?
There's a green one, but the green one only destroys artifacts, not enchantments.
Okay. Yeah, Leyline plus Blood Moon. That's a
Valakut is not doing much this game.
I wonder if Daniel scoops it up here.
Valakut is looking into the sky. It's seeing this red sun, and it's just frowning.
And Chris does have a win condition here in the form of this Ajani Vengeance and this Gideon, both of which can win the game actually pretty quickly on their own. Ajani Vengeance just needs to plus up a number of times, and if your opponent doesn't concede to the land destruction, they'll concede to your 5 consecutive lightning helices.
Sure.
And then of course Gideon Jura, really you can't
beat it.
Yeah, if you don't have a creature on the board the first time Gideon pluses up, you're not going to beat it.
You can't beat it. It's attacking you for 6 every turn. Daniel has a bolt in hand. That's not doing anything.
An Ember cool.
Yeah, this I mean, just pretty easily was able to lock out Daniel here with the Blood Moon. And here we see a strange new art of Gideon Jura.
Yeah, I'm not wild about this new art. I think the same artist did all of these new Planeswalker versions, and they all look a little. They all sort of look like Kithkin from Lorwyn. They all look like
they're stubby little people.
Yeah, which is fine. You know, it's fine to be a stubby little person. God, I'm not even. Sorry, I'm not going to finish that sentence. But yeah, they all look a little weird. They all look weird in the same way.
Here's a card. No, you don't like this card either.
This is the original Ajani Vengeance, which is what's in Chris's hand, because Chris is not an idiot, is way cooler than this one. This Ajani Vengeance is from a dual deck, the Nicol Bolas versus Vengeance. Ajani dual deck, and it just looks ridiculous. In fact, there's another Ajani.
There it is.
That's classic right there. In fact, these guys in foil, the foil is actually primarily concentrated on the blue, on Ajani's belt and gauntlets. Yeah, and so the blue really comes out and sort of, you know, it contrasts from the red white of the Planeswalker and the green in the background. Wow. Absolutely beautiful. If you ever have the chance to pick up an Ajani Vengeance pack foil, I highly recommend you do so.
So moving to sideboards here, I see Daniel has some Inferno Titans in his sideboard. Probably wants those. I mean, that's just another win condition.
Oh yeah, Inferno Titan.
He needs more win conditions.
Yeah, you can cast those with 6 mountains too. So
it makes the Titanshift name a little bit more apt.
Sure.
Two different types of Titans.
Many Titans. We might even see a Sundering Titan.
If we could.
No, maybe not. But yeah, so Daniel probably has Nature's Claim.
Yeah, sure. Some enchantment removal.
Could have a Reclamation Sage, though. Rec Sage isn't as good in these lists where you can't tutor for it.
Right.
So I think Nature's Claim is probably the better choice. What else could Daniel have? I'm thinking.
I don't know if he has any additional alternate win conditions than the Inferno Titan. He could have like a dragon, some Stormbreath Dragon or something like that.
Yeah. These Titanshift decks.
Actually, Stormbreath Dragon would be quite good here. Protection from white.
These Titanshift decks can side into, into ramp decks fairly easily. One source I think we talked about this maybe a few weeks ago when we saw a Titan deck on camera, but Gaia's Revenge is actually a pretty decent card. It's a 7-drop 8/5 haste that can't be countered, and it has Shroud except from green sources. So you can only kill it with a green source. And as an 8/5 haste, it ends the game pretty quick. So that could be one that we see come in from Daniel, but not a whole lot of
these
things you can do through a Blood Moon.
The Titanshift sideboard's a little more tuned to fight aggressive decks, I would imagine, instead of trying to go over the top of something or change your game plan a little bit.
Yeah, because typically these Titanshift decks actually they prey on control decks.
Right.
They just sit there and they hit their land drops, and you lose.
But this type of control deck's a little bit different.
Yeah, this prison strategy is it's like it was built to beat this Titanshift deck in game 1. Game 2, this could be a whole other ballpark. I would guess Chris maybe brought in a Crumble to Dust if he has it. Sometimes these decks play Crumble to Dust to augment Blood Moon.
Right.
Because your opponent can hate out Blood Moon later in the game, or in the match rather. But Chris knows his strategy. Main board is pretty strong here. Yeah. I'm not sure I love the Lightning Helix that Chris has in his hand.
Yeah. He may have just not had enough good sideboard options, because I saw he left Anger in as well.
Yeah.
So he's probably planning on doubling up again to remove a Titan.
Well, like I said, I think Chris's main board is so well suited here.
Yeah.
You might not really have a lot to fight the Titan matchup, because you're already doing pretty well, but we will see Chris mulligan. That's a big deal for Daniel.
He mulliganed last round though.
Oh, did he? Yeah, that's right.
You don't need much. I mean, he didn't need much last round. This game 2, he might need a little bit more though.
Right. It's true you don't need much, but it's also noteworthy that even through the Blood Moon, Daniel's Titans were powerful. I mean, they're 6/6 tramplers, and Chris actually sort of lucked out by having all three of those removals. But he had lightning helix to chain with anger, which is pretty fortunate.
Right.
On top of the journey to note, or the banishing light.
This hand's not gonna be a keep, Chris. No lands.
Yeah, no lands. Simian Spirit Guide, Blood
Double
Moon.
Blood
Moon. not enough. So we'll see Chris go to 5.
I hope he mulls to 4 and his hand is triple Spirit Guide, Blood Moon.
You might. Do you think you keep that?
You keep.
I'd keep it.
Turn one Blood Moon.
Especially with the scry.
Right.
So yeah, we'll see Chris go to 5. This is where things start to get dicey because you sort of need to have the Blood Moon and the ley line. Yeah, and you need to have some number of lands, hopefully. And then you've got to have an answer to a 6/6 beating your face in.
Right.
And a lot of the red-white prisons deck strategies against creatures come in the form of the Planeswalkers, Ajani Vengeance keeping one tapped, or Gideon Jura making them attack Gideon. But when it comes to a deck that puts out a number of creatures and that can possibly have the burn damage to fight through your Planeswalkers, these decks that Chris is playing rely on cards like Ghostly Prison.
Right.
And Ghostly Prison is actually terrible against a deck that has
really good in the face
10
of 15
mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how this goes when Chris is on a mull to 5.
He did keep his mull to 5, of course. His hand looked very land heavy and has a Gideon. In fact, I think it might have been 4 lands in Gideon. And unfortunately, I think he found this ley line on the top off his scry, so he was not able to put that into play right off the bat. His hand's looking pretty slow. If Daniel can get off to a quick start with some ramp, he might not be able to catch up.
Now, to be fair, if Chris just goes land, ley line, that's not terrible.
Right.
But he can, of course, still lose to prime time to the face. Oh, and we do see, the Inferno Titan in Daniel's hand could do some serious work if he ramps out to it.
That also can't target through
and there's a Nature's Claim on the bottom of Daniel's deck.
All right, so
he does have
he brought in some answers.
Yeah, at least one Nature's Claim.
Which is no longer on the bottom of his deck, luckily for him.
Yeah, maybe it's on the top. Maybe we'll see him do a sleight of hand maneuver and put it on the top. No, I'm just kidding. I would never suspect that of any of the players at our store. Not even the Titanshift players.
So we see Sakura Tribe Elder. Little known win condition.
Yeah, also notice Steve presents a 20-turn clock.
It does. We'll see if he's getting aggressive here. Interesting. Daniel left in the engineered explosives.
I think that's fine. If he does have
the multicolored
if he does have Prismatic Omen that blows up Blood Moon. Also notably, some of these decks do sometimes splash like a Canopy Vista or a Temple Garden or a red one. I can't think of. I mean, like a Sacred Foundry.
Yeah.
They'll splash one of these white lands or something, sometimes for some sideboard options, and sometimes almost exclusively for the engineered explosives.
Right. So we see Steve getting in there, putting 1 damage on the stack. The Svetchine's bringing down that clock by 1 turn.
Yeah. So I think what this tells Chris is that Daniel's hand is full of shit, because if you're attacking with the Steve instead of ramping with it,
right.
I guess he can still ramp with it, but hasn't he already foregone a turn?
Yeah, he could have sacrificed it at the end of Chris's last turn.
So if I were Chris, that tells me that Daniel does not have, the Titan or anything, right?
He does though. He has Inferno Titan in hand, so.
But why? So why would he? Wouldn't he have been at 6 mana already if he chose to just?
No, because he Farseeked that turn, so he got an additional land. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
so we'll probably see Steve sacrifice himself
this turn
for the good of the land at the end of Chris's turn here. Nope. I guess if Daniel has a land in hand, he doesn't really need to do that.
Yeah.
Ooh,
so
we do see a Reclamation Stage there.
I think you just don't. I think you just go for the.
Let's go for the Titan.
Yeah. Go for the Titan. Make your opponent answer the Inferno Titan, and then if you need to, blow up the.
Yeah. Right. Boom.
Ooh, baby. So is he gonna get the triggers? So go to 14.
He should. Yep. There. 14. You see Rugged Prairie. So Chris does have Lightning Helix in hand, but that 3 damage is not enough to take out Big Bad Inferno Titan here.
Yeah, this is where, again, I'm sure Chris didn't have maybe enough good cards to bring in over Lightning Helix, but yeah, that's not the kind of removal you need against a card like Inferno Titan.
Is he just dead here?
So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because Inferno Titan only triggers once, and then it has fire breathing.
Okay, but sure, Chris can gain some life back with this lightning heat. Actually, that was did he target?
So he targets the Steve, right?
I don't know.
Doesn't he want to target the Steve?
No, he doesn't, because then Steve gets sacrificed and he doesn't gain life.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess.
I'm not
yeah, is Daniel? Well, let's see if Daniel sacrifices this.
I'm not sure what was targeted. It might have just targeted Daniel directly.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the right place to target Daniel directly.
We think the Inferno Titan was brought out of the sideboard as just another win condition.
Yeah, it allows him to win through Blood Moon, pretty handily.
So it does look like the
So he targeted
Helix
Daniel.
must have went to face. Yeah. So Chris needs a Wrath of God off the top. That's another ley line. He can buy one more turn with Gideon.
Oh yeah, he can play Gideon, but he doesn't have double white for Gideon. He Blood Mooned himself off double white.
Oof.
So he can't play the Gideon.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah, folks, just so you know, sometimes Blood Moon wins you the game, and sometimes you screw yourself. Lesson learned: don't play Blood Moon.
Yeah, that is pretty unfortunate. And Daniel, of course, didn't play the Rex Age, which would have unlocked double white, but he didn't need it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, so I don't know if Chris could have actually come back with just a Gideon because Inferno Titan, for one, Inferno Titan's damage can
still goes through.
It can kill Gideon or just go through to face.
If he delayed a turn with Gideon and then drew Wrath of God off the top, he may have had a chance. But even then, he was so low on life, it would have been hard. I knew I did see Wrath of God in Chris's deck, so that is an out. Yeah, so Daniel's sideboard plan worked pretty well there. Inferno Titan just a little bit better than Prime Time against the Blood Moon. And
yeah, I will say some of these green-red decks do have as many as 2 or 3 Inferno Titans.
Yeah, I think I saw at least 2.
Because it's actually good in a lot of matchups. If you can get to 6 mana, the card does a nice job sweeping against decks like Affinity or Elves or Merfolk. And then in these matchups, of course, it's just a great way to win through Blood Moon.
Inferno Titan is big and evil and powerful. It's one of my favorite cards, actually.
Yeah, I like the card a lot, too.
When I started playing on the Magic Duels program, which, basically the premier card in that program in the year I started playing was Inferno Titan. It was about the best card you could play.
Oh, is that where the media promo comes from?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think I own that card. The media promo Inferno Titan. Maybe does it come with the game?
I think you had to send in some sort of thing to get it. All right, so both players keeping 7. Chris on the play. Oh, and he starts with the ley line. All right.
Yeah, the ley line start is good. It does mean that if Daniel has something like a Nature's Claim, he'll have to use 2 Nature's Claims to get through Blood Moon and Leyline if he wants to kill his opponent with either Inferno Titan triggers or with Valakut.
Right. So Daniel does have both an Inferno Titan and a Reclamation Sage in hand.
And an Engineered Explosives. So currently Daniel does have the machinery to deal with both the Leyline and a Blood Moon. But again, he can only deal with that Blood Moon if he's able to make 3 colors. With the Engineered Explosive.
I just saw that Chris did sneak the Masterpiece Chalice into the deck. Saw it when he was searching there.
Oh, the Masterpiece Chalice?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to be super honest. Don't flame me, but the Masterpiece Chalice, I think, looks much worse than a regular Chalice.
Yeah, you're wrong.
I don't like the Masterpiece
It's
Chalice.
so serene, and it actually is a chalice instead of some guy holding like a weird thing.
To me, it doesn't really look like a chalice. To me, a chalice would look like...
Clearly, you're not from Kaladesh.
Do you know the card Everflowing Chalice?
Yes.
That card is beautiful.
That's a chalice.
That's a chalice. To me, this new Chalice Masterpiece looks like, I don't know, it looks like a car battery. You know, like it's just too... I don't know. I don't like it. But I also don't like the new Mox Opal, which I know a lot of people do like.
So we see Daniel go with the Explorer. It's a nice one. Lets him play an extra land, draw a card.
Oh, a Chandra. So Daniel has a Chandra, a 4-drop Chandra.
Yeah,
that card can also actually win the game through Blood Moon, just like that Inferno Titan.
And we'll likely see a Blood Moon here. Yep.
Yeah, Blood Moon Leyline's pretty good. The nice thing about Leyline in this matchup is that Leyline not only protects you from damage, but it protects your Planeswalkers from direct burn damage.
Because they can't target you and redirect.
Which is really pretty relevant against decks like Daniel's, which are trying to use even cards like Lightning Bolt or Inferno Titan to kill your walkers. Leyline is a very good, it's a good card in general, but very good in a Planeswalker deck.
Here's Chandra. Torch of Defiance.
All right,
Also really like this card.
Yeah, me too.
Gonna exile the card and deal 2 damage to Chris.
I like Chandra Pyromaster a little more, but not in this match. In this match, you want the clock, not the killing X ones.
Yeah, and I can't imagine Chris has many ways to deal with this once it's resolved. I guess he could. I guess Banishing Light can hit it, so he can get rid of it that way. But not too many answers, I don't think.
Yeah, Banishing Light will hit any non-land permanent, so that's certainly relevant. And again, like we mentioned earlier, Chris could have Cast Out too.
Right. Let's see if he goes with the second Blood Moon here. I think he has second Blood Moon in hand.
Now, second Blood Moon is liable to get blown out by Engineered Explosives, but again, that's only
I wouldn't expect that.
That's only if Daniel finds the third color through a Prismatic Omen or otherwise. And really, he can't find a third color without a Prismatic Omen through the first Blood Moon.
Chris has some other white card in his hand. I'm not sure what it is, but it looks kind of interesting. See, he's going 3 mana. Oh. Thinking about it. Oh, this is the other white card. We'll soon learn.
Is this the Oblivion Ring? Crumble to Dust? Yep. I called that earlier. You heard me call that.
I would think since Crumble to Dust costs 4 mana.
But actually, no, he can't target that. He can't target that because it's not a non-basic land.
The Stomping Ground is.
No, it's not. It's a mountain.
That is a confusing rules question there. Oh, okay. So, bunch of confusing things here.
Yes.
First off, the Sacred Foundry.
They need to stop this. Though. They need to stop the game because
the Sacred Foundry.
He can't target a Stomping Ground. No, but there's a Blood Moon in play, so he can't. Yeah, okay.
I'm still confused. Can he even put the Sacred Foundry into play untapped? Through the Blood Moon? Yes?
No, you cannot.
Okay.
Well, I can't.
I think maybe you can.
I can't remember. Blood Moon, man, what a card.
This is great. All right, so it looks like the Crumble to Dust just basically failed because it had no legal. Well, I think it would actually have to. No, yeah, it had no legal targets on that board state. So it's back to Daniel's turn.
Yeah, they had to do a rewind. You have to rewind when the Crumble to Dust has no legal targets.
Oh, right, you're not even able to cast it. Whew, we are in quite the pickle here.
Yeah, the Crumble to Dust cannot be cast. But I I can't remember if the Sacred Foundry can.
Okay, so it can still target it.
Is it really still non-basic? Is that just because it's named Stomping Ground?
Yeah. Okay, and you can't have the Sacred Foundry come into play untapped.
You can.
Yes. That I thought. I was thinking about like through a Thalia or something. But
oh right, yeah, Thalia. Yeah, that's right. You can't. You can pay 2 life against a Thalia, but it will still come in tapped.
Right. So now we're in a pickle. So Daniel already went to his turn and revealed a card off the top of his library. Right. But of course, if the Crumble did resolve, he would have had to shuffle his library, which would have changed what he revealed off the top of his library. And
so is the reason that you can Crumble to Dust a Stomping Ground because its name is still Stomping Ground and it's therefore it doesn't change the fact that it's non-basic.
Yeah, it doesn't become a basic land. It just becomes a mountain. It just says non-basic lands are mountains.
But I thought that I mean, it essentially means, except for in the case of overriding super types like Darksteel Citadel, like your Darksteel Citadel.
Wait, so what? So the Crumble to Dust evidently only hit the land that was in play then because it didn't take all the Stomping Grounds out of his deck.
Wait, why?
He just played another one.
Wait, why are they? Wait, why?
I have no idea. I think maybe that we couldn't rewind enough to.
Is that the judge rule?
Yeah, I think we couldn't rewind enough to shuffle the deck to get the rest of them out. So we only exiled the one that was in play. Whew.
Yeah, so, yeah, Kawaii Dragon says it wouldn't be a mountain if it wasn't non-basic. That's true, but I thought its non-basic quality made it stop being non-basic.
No, I think it's always non-basic. It doesn't change its type.
Right. Well,
okay, so...
And again, lands keep their super types like Artifact or Legendary, and I suppose they keep non-basic too, but anyway, yeah, I'm not sure how Daniel has played another Stomping Ground.
So I guess the ruling was that we couldn't search the deck because we were too far forward in the game, so just the targeted land was exiled.
Right.
All right, that's an interesting ruling, because you would think you would be able to look in his hand regardless, you know, since that was not affected. Now, does Daniel have to target himself?
Yeah, well, you can deal it to yourself. You don't have to deal it to Inferno Titan. If you deal it to your Inferno Titan there, he could bolt your Inferno Titan.
That's true, or Lightning Helix it. No, he can't Lightning Helix it.
Yeah, but he could have bolted it there. So I think the right play is to deal that damage to yourself. Now, interestingly, Daniel's going to be able to swing for 6, but he's going to have to deal 3 damage.
Well, you know what I just realized?
What?
The Chandra emblem is not going to be able to target Chris through the ley line, because it's deal 5 damage to target player every time you cast a spell, or creature for that matter.
Right. So he could be targeting his own Inferno Titan.
Wow, this is
a game.
An interesting match.
Magic the Gathering, folks.
So here he's going to pitch whatever that was, Anger of the Gods. We're going to see Daniel on tap.
It looks like, well, this is actually really relevant. Daniel has another Stomping Ground in hand. There could have been 2 fewer.
Yeah.
There could have been 2 fewer Stomping Grounds, but instead, the judge ruling there.
I think that was actually your fault, Mark.
My fault?
Yeah. Because we had the judge called over, and it ended up interrupting the flow of play.
You're right. It's all my. What have I done? What have I done? No, that's all very awkward though. That's yeah.
That is quite awkward. So Inferno Titan is gonna kill Nahiri. All right. The Inferno Titan again had to deal damage to itself because Chris was not a legal target.
Yeah, again, Chris does have an untapped red source here with this Gemstone Caverns. I really think you want to be dealing that damage to yourself just to play around Chris's Lightning Bolt.
Sure.
But whatever.
I'm wondering, yeah, so we do know Daniel has a Rex Sage in hand. He could blow up this ley line and use his Inferno Titan. Well, he's going to do it. He's going to cast Search.
So I think at this point, if you're Daniel, you're in a pretty good spot. You want to hold on to your Rex Sage in case your opponent casts an Oblivion Ring effect.
Sure.
On your Titan or your Planeswalker, because you need to get those back. At this point in the game, you actually don't care about the Blood Moon or the ley line that much.
I mean, you don't, but he could have just killed Chris there by Reclamation Saging the ley line and then casting a spell after the Inferno Titan hit him.
Well, he doesn't know that for a fact. He doesn't know what's in Chris's hand.
Chris has 1 red source. I mean, what's a bolt going to do?
I think at this point in the game, when Chris has the active Chandra that is unaffected by ley line, at least for +1, and an active Inferno Titan that's still a 6/6 beater, it's in your best interest to play safe.
But the problem is now, I think Chris has a Banishing Light in hand now.
Right, so as soon as Chris plays the Banishing Light, you Rex Sage.
You Rex Sage and get your Chandra back, I guess.
Right, that's what I think. That's why I think you don't necessarily care about the ley line or the Blood Moon. Now, it's interesting. What do you think Chris chooses? I assume you have to choose the Titan over the Planeswalker.
Yeah, the Titan does more damage per turn.
Yeah, and especially because, as far as Chris knows, Chandra's ultimate is worthless on this board state. In fact, if Daniel actually ultimates without casting the Rex Sage, he can kill himself.
Yes, he would have to target himself with the Chandra emblem.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Oh, it looks like he's thinking about it. There she goes. All right, ultimate Chandra.
So what's interesting though is he's going to have to cast a Rex Sage.
Right, so he'll have to do 5 damage to himself.
That one Rex Sage will either have to blow up itself Actually, no, it's a cast trigger. So the Rec Sage cannot target the...
Yeah, so he'll have to do
the cast
at
trigger
least
from the Rec Sage will not be able to target itself. He could only
he'll
target
just have to
himself.
do 5 damage to himself.
Yeah, so he'll have to shoot himself to 15.
He could do the damage to Chandra. He could kill the Chandra. All right, so he decides to do the damage to himself. Leyline gets blown up by the Reclamation Sage, which I am almost certain can't summon his pack. Well, it gets countered. Just does 5 damage, sure. This is
I don't know why you don't just blow up the Oblivion Ring though.
With what?
With the Rec Sage.
The Rec Sage blew up the Leyline, so now that Daniel can kill Chris with these 0 mana cards that keep getting countered by Chalice, but are just doing the damage to him. Does Daniel have one more spell? No, gonna crack the clue. He has 3 lands in hand. All right.
This is the weirdest game of Magic I've watched in a while.
This is one of the strangest games I have ever seen.
No, so you're right though, because he had 2 spells in hand that he didn't even care if they got countered by Chalice. He could just cast those out with the Chandra emblem and deal 10 damage to Chris that way. But of course, if he just got the Titan back, he'd have had to deal 3 damage to himself, but he'd have a live 6/6.
Yeah.
What a game,
This prison really puts you in some strange situations. So I think Chris is just going to anger here. Oh, he's going to cast Chalice X2. That doesn't do much because all Daniel needs to do is cast the spell. Actually,
yeah, even
he's just dead.
Yeah.
He's just dead. He takes up Chandra and he dies to Reclamation Sage. Even if he doesn't find a spell.
So there's 2 damage to Chris. Swing for 2.
Combat, swing for 2. All right. And he has a spell. Why did he cast the spell? He could have just cast the spell before combat, rubbing it in.
Just to say another misplay by Daniel there. You want to activate the Planeswalker first while you have priority.
Yeah, opponent is going to forget about Pact, which because he did Summoner's Pact got countered by the Chalice, so it never resolved. Therefore, he didn't have to pay the mana.
Right.
He didn't forget Pact.
Yeah,
the Pact got countered by
that
Chalice.
That part of the Pact is not it's not
a
cost of the spell. It's a cost attributed to the resolution of the spell, which never happened.
That was certainly one of the strangest games I've ever seen.
I did want to say before we go away and reflect more on this ridiculous game, at the end there, Daniel, big misplay. It obviously doesn't matter, and it didn't matter throughout, but you don't want to attack with the Reclamation Sage there first when you have the Planeswalker ability. You want to maintain priority. Because, of course, once you do anything like go to combat,
you can give your opponent
has the opportunity to then bolt a Planeswalker. So just something for players to keep in mind. If you have a Planeswalker ability you need to use, make sure you use it while you have priority in case it could die to a spell. And, of course, Chris did have an untapped red source there with the Gemstone Caverns through Blood Moon. So
he didn't have a choice on whether or not the Pact could resolve. Chalice just automatically counters it.
Right.
So if you like seeing us stumble through ridiculous board states and not understand why players are doing what they are.
Yeah, we apologize for our ineptitude there. I must have said a number of dumb things, but I was pretty sure that you couldn't crumble to dust through a Blood Moon, but I guess
I guess wrong.
Now I know. So
that was a wild match.
It's funny because I actually anticipated Crumble to Dust coming in before this game started, but I thought you would use it on Valakut if one was played early, before you Blood Moon. So.
Nonetheless, Daniel takes that game through some difficulty with the Chandra emblem there, but
yeah, and
he was able to win.
And just to clarify, you can't not let something be countered by Chalice.
Chalice had to counter it. So yeah, as I said, games can get interesting. Magic is a complicated game. If you like what we're doing here, though, you like our commentary, be sure to check us out on Patreon, as the link there showed. You can donate money, get some rewards, help support the show.
Yeah, and I know I've said this a few times now already tonight, Mario, but I became a donor to the Patreon last week. You can get involved with a one-time contribution or a sustaining membership, however you want to do it. And really, I mean it when I say any amount of money counts for this kind of thing, even just a buck for good luck. The more donations that we have from the more people, the more Top Deck knows that people care about its content, but also
it'll continue to improve.
Keeps covering the operating costs and helps us improve the quality of the stream, offer more services. So anyway, thanks so much, and we'll be back for round 5 here.
Yep, final round in about 15 minutes.
Yep, so don't go away.
Thanks for watching.